Hello everybody, I'm Andrea Giacomi from the CNR, one of the Institute of the National Research Council of Italy, which is in charge of mainly of manufacturing. And we as CNR leaded UP1, which was focused on the mapping of the innovation system and on the creation of a framework to analyze how the innovation system is organized in the Alpine space. So the first step that we used in UP1 was to approach a mapping. Mapping in such a scenario can have different objectives. The main utility, the main importance and relevance of mapping in such a context is at two levels. The first level is to detect and to have a complete overview of all the innovation system on what are the facilities, what are the structures that are available in a specific context in the different regions analyzed, in order to gain knowledge, to be aware of what is available for all the actors and the stakeholders which are in a specific region. The second importance of mapping is that it enables collaboration among actors, because due to the ability to be able to detect which are the infrastructure available, it can promote collaboration among stakeholders, which know which are the possibilities to make innovation, to be supported in making innovation also outside our companies, and to create collaboration both at the national and international level. So the importance of mapping is not only to have something written somewhere in a document, but to give a tool that can be made available to all stakeholders and be used to promote collaboration and new actions. So this is the view that has to be used when considering the importance of the results of mapping, but also of mapping itself, because if it is done collaboratively, it can promote collaboration and new initiatives, new common initiatives. So for defining the manufacturing framework of the Alpine space, we analyzed mainly the smart specialization strategies of the different regions involved, in order to have an overview of what are the specialization areas, what are also the national initiatives, firstly, so at national level, then also what are the regional implementation actions. So we have the clusters, both in Italy, both in France, the pole of competitivity, and so on. And so we were able to detect which are the regional priorities, the skills of the different regions of the areas, the priority teams, and also the enabling technology. We had a brief overview of this presentation also made by Massimiliano, and then we go deeper in some details to explain better what we achieved. For what concerns the local initiative, for each country belonging to the Alpine space, we have different measures, different national measures. All these measures share a common focus, which is to promote the implementation of these technologies, but they differ mainly from three aspects: from the policy design, because they are designed according to the characteristics of the specific country, also for the financial measures that are implemented. And this is not so a simple aspect. For example, in Italy, the national plan Industria 4.0 is based mainly on hyper-amortization, which is a specific financial measure, different from other measures that are implemented in other countries, and that can also force some kind of approaches. Another difference is in the implementation measure itself, themselves, that are customized on this country, and so it is important to make a comparison among this in order to gain experiences, to to see which are the peculiarities, what can be shared among the countries in order to have a better success. So we have an initiative, I have the trilateral initiative, which combines Italy, France and Germany, and has this aim to find commonalities among these measures. And so then we develop a framework which is based on many of the smart specialization strategies used by some countries. This is a scheme that has been also applied by the Lombardy region, for example, in Italy. So this is an example for what concerns Germany, where for the main two reasons analyzed, we started from the smart specialization areas, identifying which are the priority themes that has been associated to these areas, the enabling technologies, and most important also which are the main actors and players from the production and the research system to be aware of what is the situation in each region of this country. The second step that will be further detailed in the presentation from Elena, which is following this one, is about a survey. We developed a survey because beside the framework, the analysis of infrastructure and policies, it's also important to have an idea of what are the practices along the manufacturing supply chain. So what is in place by now, what are doing the companies, which is the level of implementation they have, the level of awareness of what is the factory of the future, of what represent these technologies. And so the survey was developed according to 4 areas to analyze the strategy, the organization, the management, and the technology level, and specific issues for each of these areas. So the idea was to investigate the awareness and adoption of the factory of the future, to highlight which are the main issues associated for the manufacturing environment, and then to use this information also to build the maps. So this survey was launched last year, and we had 19 companies which participated in the survey from the different countries. And so this enables us to get a first overview of what is this implementation level. So here we can have an example for each of the 4 areas of 4 interesting answers that we had. For example, for what concerns strategy, we asked if a company has what is the level of their attitude towards the factory of the future. And even if only small part of companies has a full strategy in place, 45% responded that they have clear business goals and KPIs. So this is a first step. They are not fully prepared with a strategic plan, and we know by now that it's really important to have a plan, to have a strategy to implement factory of the future, because you cannot implement technologies, standalone technologies, which are not integrated in a strategy, in the strategy of the company, and also in a long period strategy. So this is a first insight that we gain. Also for the organization.
Andrea, a question later or ongoing?
As you prefer.
Give an example of a company that gave you a KPI, practically. Big company, medium company, and a KPI is something different than I want to be competitive?
No, KPIs we meant, and Elena can also give us some other details. KPIs for what concern what they are going to reach in the...
I'm curious of an example.
We have to check maybe our survey because I don't have in mind a specific example of a company. But we had that.
Profit increase, 10%, something like that. Productivity increase. Quality.
We didn't investigate the specific KPIs. So the question was on.
I'm not provoking, I'm curious.
No, really, it's interesting because but we didn't get in such level of detail. Can you confirm, Elena?
Yeah, sure, because actually this survey was designed like almost 2 years ago. So almost 2 years years ago, we were still really aware of which were the real impacts of this factor to these technologies adoption in companies. So we were wondering if companies were able to set these business goals with clear KPIs. So how can you estimate the impact of adopting a new technology, let's say buying a robot in your company? How does this mean in terms not only in terms of productivity, but also in terms of profits in the long term, or new skills that are required for your employees in the long term? So which are the KPIs really relevant?
And they gave an answer.
No, with this,
We have a clear business.
at that time this question was too early to ask which were the KPIs at that time. Because the awareness was not enough to settle KPIs that were new, let's say. They used the typical KPIs for productivity, efficiency, flexibility. So now we need new KPIs for this kind of. And so that's what our consortium also built, a new system indicators for this factor in the future.
Very briefly, my case that pushed all of us to be non-moderate and to be in a hurry. One of the members of the board of my company is making plans to make bubbles in the wine, to make Prosecco. The business is getting out of money, and was selling the plant. And then the winemaker told him, hey, the machine is not working, you should put more electronic to find solution and make remote management. No problem, digitalization, he asked the university and they put the rest electronic. So he managed it by remote. And then the winemaker said, but why I should manage it? Can you do it remotely? Do it. I don't want to do nothing, just selling sparkling wine. Right? And then he said, why should I buy the plant? Why you don't give me a service being paid per bottle? He's paid today per bottle of sparkling wine. Mr. Bizer making plants of Prosecco. So when I heard this, I said, this is change of business model due to digitalization, and this is a super example of servitization. He said, I am a Cerebus. He didn't know it all. He jumped without any strategy. My experience in a lot of cases, the change business model, the change then is technology driven. Without a strategy. Maybe the customer wants a different quote. They want the traceability, they want something, and they are pulled by without a strategy. This is my experience that we should take in care. Because what we care is a business model change, not how. Okay. I'd like someone else to disturb, please.
Yes, please. I would like to disturb again.
Yes.
Actually, you have mentioned a very valuable issue, and what I'm still not sure is what is the interdependence between factor of the future, the technology on the one hand, and on the other hand, the business models, the new business model. Is the one depending on the other, or vice versa? I think this is quite an interesting question, which I haven't got an answer on. Maybe some of you have.
Two drop of angostura, you shake and
Okay.
I think what we can see.
Because I think new business models are also possible without technology. Yeah, or without a lot of technology. I think the one is really not dependent on Industry 4.0. Some of them may be dependent on technology. I think there's no final question for me so far. Have you got an answer on that?
I don't think that Doppelmayr had a strategy to go into the Maker report.
No, but it's
They
the
have the
same.
fan on
That's
top
true.
of it.
Yeah, but it's the same example that you've given, right? I mean, they changed their view from producing cable cars or monorails into kind of providing a service to transport people either in the city or from the airport to the city. So they do all the stuff. They do the service around it. They maintain the cable cars and these kind of things. And I think the difference, I think there is a connection between Industry 4.0 and mainly the product lifecycle view, right? Because I think if you do Industry 4.0, then you have a product lifecycle view which kind of takes you from the production to the utilization and then later on to the recycling, which means you need to be aware of what is happening with the product over the lifetime. And I think this is something in order to make sure that you have this recycling thing and so on and so forth. So looking, for example, to Apple and these new Apple phones, I mean, there is always in this presentation, there's always kind of, at least for the 2 or 3 years, a kind of look back, what do we do with the old electronics, so how do we dismantle that, how we reuse this stuff, and I think this, the materials that has been used there, and I think this is on the one hand, it's obviously what you said, Franco, is kind of servitization, is kind of how I don't want to buy any more machines. I would like just to have, like in the aerospace business, I don't buy the turbine, I buy thrust hours, so I don't care.
Products.
Yeah, exactly. So no products. Yeah, and so everything is going into the servitization thing. But the other thing that I see is you have to have perspective over the life cycle of the product. So it's not only about manufacturing, it's not only about kind of utilization, it's also about recycling at the end. And I think this is coming up basically.
Yeah, and I think that the new technologies like sensors and
Connectivity.
having all this information about the technology on your fingertips is enhancing the possibility of servitization.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to make a comment on what was on your question, I think that the business model can change apart from the new technologies, but is the rate at which they change that it is different, because we have a disruptive change in business model due to new technologies. This is the difference from my opinion, because we have business model that change radically in a short period of time and changing completely the business in a specific area. This is the main result of the use of such kind of technology, I think.
Mostly, yes.
But the interesting thing, just to kind of do a last bypass, because what I felt what Massimiliano was saying in his first presentation about the interaction between human and machine. Because if we look to this famous Tesla example and Elon Musk, for example, I mean, there we see exactly the opposite, right? So he has kind of embraced on Industry 4.0 to some extent, kind of saying, yeah, I need full automatization of the plant. And in the beginning of this year, he said, it's not working. So he was employing, I think, around 3,000 employees just to kind of fix the stuff that is actually happening, because also automatization takes time, and we need to have, let's say, an interface between the people and the machines, and how to teach machines and how people interact with the machines.
This is also a lesson learned from 90s, because in 90s we had a lot
Actually,
of
the
fully automated plants that were not successful at all.
Yeah.
And so this is a failure, and now we have, so this is the reason why we have to develop new skill in order to have skilled operators, skilled people, which is able to interact with new technologies to properly handle them. And so there is a new challenge about the training and
Exactly.
the development of new skills.
But also cooperation, I mean, on the shop floor, right, between machines and humans, right?
Yes, to the development of cobots, which now also at the most practical level, it's a main issue, because now robots don't have to be only effective, but they have to be able to cooperate with people, to work beside them. So this is another challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, just to briefly complete this overview. I will try to get not much. Okay, so another example that was relevant is that the companies now about the organizational structure. They told us that now their structure is highly centralized, but they are aware that in a few years, in 3-5 years, it should be more collaborative, with emphasis on the involvement of employees and customers. So this is another change that is caused by these new technologies. Changes in organization, not only from the technological point of view, because the organization has to accomplish this change. So for the technologies, this is not so relevant, but there's also another answer. For the management, most of companies are aware that the suppliers they are going to introduce in their supply chain are the suppliers, obviously, of specialized software and system for advanced manufacturing. So this is the change that is already in place in companies and in the mindset of business managers. Then, just an overview for what are the maps that we derived from all this analysis of the framework of the survey and of other information that regions collected, that our partner at interregional level collected. So we built this map on the specialization areas, on the priorities, analyzing the initiatives and the skills. And so we were able to provide this map. We saw an example also from the presentation of Massimiliano at country level, the first map which presents the priorities at the national level, the initiatives, some insight gained from the survey for the specific country, because as we will see at the end of this presentation, we can have slight or also strong differences among countries for the same aspects. And then at regional level, we go deeper in this detail. So for each market utilization area, we analyze which are the number of companies, the number of which are the clusters, which are the main innovation actors. And it is important to have this information for stakeholders, to share this information, because we can have, maybe a company can have a pilot plant which can be used by other companies to test product or specific technologies. And it is important to be aware at each level. Now we have different initiatives that are facing this issue. We have also the Vanguard initiatives. For example, the national workshop we had in Milan for VP4 was organized within a Vanguard event, because there are commonalities in such measures, because to map and to be aware of infrastructure, how to collaborate among the regions using this infrastructure, exploiting at best and making available all these facilities to stakeholders and actors is an important measure in order to create new actions and to provide companies more tools to support innovation. The last step was the transnational perspective, and here we analyzed and made a comparison of the national initiatives, and then we mapped for all the initiatives which were the specialization areas of the different regions, and we saw which were the commonalities, because for example aerospace is spread all over different regions, also automotive. But going in detail, we can see which are the priority team and enabling technologies that can differ. So we have regions with same specialization areas, but addressing maybe different technologies and different priorities. And to put in a common view all this information is also relevant for our policymaker, because we have to keep in mind that the final aim of this project is to provide policymaker with new information that can be used to change the policies, to adapt and to fill in gaps that we have from the policy in place and for what is needed to fully implement these new technologies. For example, talking about one of the issues faced before, we have an answer. This was a question about what is more used in your company, what of this paradigm, flexibility, automation, editing, efficiency. These are the answer at the aggregated level. Flexibility was the most used, and automation the second most used. But when we go in detail for the specific country, we see differences. So flexibility is at first place for one country, but maybe automation is not the second. So we have peculiarities, and it's also important to be aware also of these peculiarities when we have to put in place measures. So this is, I think that we had an overview of what was the aim of this mapping, and I hope we have highlighted in a clear way why it is important. Because it is not a simple exercise, but it's something that is useful to gain awareness and to promote collaboration in order to share among stakeholders which are the infrastructure, which are the priorities, in order to give a comprehensive view of you have to start from an overview which is clear in order to understand what is next. Now I'll give the floor to Ella that will explain better.
Nobody has a question about this?
Yes.
Andrea,
This is interesting, but
yeah. Don't you think it's very, very complicated for companies to understand all this funding program, all this initiative, and so on? Maybe we should simplify, no?
Yes. You mean to present some kind of framework, or
Not your presentation, but in general, there is a lot of information in all these five Alpine space countries, and I think it's very difficult for companies to understand all this framework.
yes, maybe we
A
should,
lot of initiatives.
we should be able to simplify
Yeah.
such kind of information to provide some simple and useful data that can be a sort of guideline that can be applied, and this is also referred to what you developed in VP2.
Yeah.
Some simple, easy to understand measures that they can implement from the organizational side, and also some information of what is available at regional and inter-regional level. In order, so maybe this is a first step. Then this rough material has to be detailed, and we should be able to provide some more easy to use tools to companies.
Now, my remark was not about your presentation of the materials, it's about, in general, the difference and the great number of programs in five Alpine space.
Yes,
Yeah.
also.
It's very rich, and it's very complex.
Yes, and I think that this is another issue that we faced before when we analyzed the national initiative to understand which are the gaps. One of the gaps is that we have a lot of measures, we have also a lot of financing, but maybe for small companies it's difficult to understand how to apply to these measures.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need some...
It's my remark. Yeah.
Yes,
it's
for sure.
It's very complicated for companies.
We need to have new actors and intermediaries that can put together these efforts from one single company, because some measures also calls for collaboration of more than one company. And maybe now I have a problem to install new technologies, but another company has the same problem. I don't know that this company has the same problem. We could put together our efforts and implementing one measure, but how networking, how is enabled? So we need to create also a new kind of actors in a new ecosystem with actors that are not present by now, but are really useful and essential to put in place such collaboration and to fully adopt the measures, and also policymaker has to adapt this measure to make them clearer, simpler.
I agree with you.
And thank you for this comment because it's really relevant. So any other question?
I'm surprised about Germany different than the other.
Please consider also that we have only the sample is not, has not a statistical significance. So we have an overview, but we cannot take this as gold. How can I
Who's
say?
here? You're German. Why you're not interested in flexibility?
I guess it's not very much rooted in the German mentality.
So we did. No, I don't have an answer.
Contrary to
I was
Italy,
surprised. Sorry?
Contrary to Italy,
Yeah,
the flexibility is much more renovated.
A possible answer is that we are your supplier. So you demand our flexibility because we are component supplier, example for Audi and whatsoever. This can be an answer, but it's not.
Yes, but on the other hand, also we have customers who require flexibility from us.
If I want an Audi, I accept what you give me. Or I wait months and months.
As far as flexibility is concerned, if you ask in a survey, would you like to be would you like to be flexible? Are you looking for being flexible? 99% of the people will say yes. Not really knowing what flexibility is defined, how flexibility is defined. Yeah. And if we would ask all the people here in the room, I would bet that we get 5 or 10 different definitions of flexibility. So I wouldn't overcharge this flexibility result on here. I would rather see that Germany was the honest answers. I say, okay, flexibility is a bridge under the water. This was yesterday. But we are trusting in the automation rate. So this is much more important for us. We need to honor the wish of the customer as a wish of the customer. Yeah, this is flexibility on my side. You have the rate, how many special wishes of the customer are there, and how many of them can I fulfill as a supplier. So,
If we have to talk to politicians, and if we have to talk about reshoring, moving back from China to Europe, flexibility is a key issue. Because we can manufacture, customize, just in time and whatever. So it's a nice political move because if you have to ship from China, you are unflexible 2 months, that is transportation time. Adidas shut down some factories in the Philippines producing fully automatized. Flexible and fully automatized. I don't know.
Automation is maybe related with the
Yeah, I have another question because of this energy efficiency and this reduction of pollution rate. Because what I found interesting is, let's say, that you have on the one hand there is a strong, let's say, need for energy efficiency, and then usually this is coupled with, let's say, an enhanced environmental awareness, right? But then again, pollution rate is not anymore on the agenda, while we had pollutions and recycling and this kind of stuff on the agenda for quite some years. So I was just wondering whether you see any correlations of these two things, or how do they differ in the analyzation?
energy efficiency is not only related to the environment, also to cost savings, to many other aspects. Pollution is only related to
If you use pollutions, I mean, it's also cost savings, right?
Yes, but in a wider perspective,
Uh-huh.
how can I say it? So there is a slight difference. So that could be also combined, but there are some peculiarities associated to one of these two elements. First, I think.
But it looks like, I mean, the studies that I've seen the years before usually had these as one of the main topics. I mean, especially on research agendas, regional agendas, and so on and so forth. So I was just wondering why this has been so declining to some
But maybe
extent.
it's not declining, but now it is seen as a prerequisite. So you cannot avoid to consider this element, because in the years before, policies were pushing towards sustainability. Now you cannot avoid to face sustainability, and so maybe it's something that is given for sure, that you have to keep in consideration. You cannot avoid to consider it. So maybe it's different. The mindset has to consider such issues, and so there is no. They are not highlighted in policies because that should have been taken as a
You don't need them anymore explicitly, but it's implicit
yes,
anyway.
for me this is the main,
Okay. Interesting.
main explanation for
Yeah.
that.
Second, applause for Reagan.